Good Thursday morning. I would like to thank Max Scherzer for that free money last night. Rocking chair spot. I knew it, and I cashed in. That guy sucks. What an amazing, amazing night. If you are someone like me, you can't stand Max Scherzer. That was great. Everything you imagined in a big spot happened, and the Astros beat up on him, and it was great. And I don't care what he says after the game about him feeling good. The Rangers, who had won every single game in the postseason until that a-hole took them out. There's not been a lot of good sports moments the last couple of months around here. That, my friend, was a good one. And, of course, we got football tonight. The Jaguars and the Saints and a big football Friday tomorrow. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. So I'm watching this last night, and I'm thinking of you the whole time. I mean, you don't like him as a player, not a human being.
Neither, really.
Okay,
the way he handled that whole thing, and I got to talk to ownership, and just no. And then the celebrating he's been doing when he's done nothing for the Rangers, and I want Jerry to find that clip of when he was hooting and hollering after one of the series clinchers when he had no contribution at all, and he's spraying champagne in people's faces, going like digital,
right? Like digital. Okay, so yep. But I was thinking about you watching this, and I know I was thinking that when we came in this morning that you were going to be uber happy.
Oh, yeah.
And I noticed a little, pep in your step this morning after makeup.
Free money, baby.
Free money is right, and I could tell. And guess who's buying breakfast today?
Yeah, hell yeah. I was actually going to offer before you even brought that up.
Right, exactly.
I'm telling you, man.
So I love
cash in spot. Let's go. If Gallo's even here, God knows what the hell he's doing. Every day it's something else. He's at Comic-Con. He's working for another radio station. He's out doing this or that. He's sick. He's got a freckle on his ball sack. Remember that whole thing?
Yes.
So, I mean, if he's actually here, then Blue Balls Billy's here, so he could help us out. But we'll get breakfast today.
That Gallo boy, he's got a lot of problems.
A lot of problems.
But yeah, it was kind of he got through the first inning, everything was fine.
I know. I was pissed about that.
I know. And then all of a sudden, all hell broke loose, and it was like you just knew it, man.
Yep.
And you could see it. I mean, it was funny watching him while he was here during the regular season. He was fine. But in these games, it's interesting. You could just feel it, and you could see it, and you know what's going to happen. It's the craziest thing.
Yeah, and I would have been so mad if he had gone out there and pitched well, but I really was so confident that he would not. I mean, coming off a layoff, the Astros are desperate, down 2-0, and they're such a championship fighting team. This guy stinks in big games now, and it's been multiple years. And I think that, his reputation at this point of being a great pitcher and the guy that pitched for the Washington Nationals and delivered a championship there and the Cy Youngs, it's all gone now. So they just need to forget about that. I mean, it was gone last year during the postseason on that Friday night against the San Diego Padres. So I'd love to see it. There's not a lot of guys that come through the organizations that I root for that I have disliked as much as Max Scherzer. And it's not only just the performance and the big spots and the stuff that he said, but what it represented. Like, he was sort of the personification of the Steve Cohen ownership failure that we have seen so far. Like, going all in for him. Scherzer's available, $40-some-odd million. Let's go get him. The press conference he has with Scott Boras sitting next to him, and the only reason I'm here is Steve, and then him bitching and moaning about the team trading away David Robertson. Like, he was a personification of the sinking Mets ship, so to see him fail elsewhere, I'm sorry. I mean, it is pure schadenfreude for me. I loved it, and it was lucrative.
But it's like 4 years in a row for him, too, by the way, when you think about it, because when he was with the Dodgers, he basically was not available.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, had his dead arm.
And here he is again coming back and not doing anything for the last 6 weeks of the Rangers season.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Around there, right? And then somehow coming back, fighting through whatever injuries or dead arm he was fighting through, and then here we go last night, and it was interesting watching it. It really was. I mean, it was like a rubbernecking situation, Yeah. You're riding on the LIE, there's an accident in the other lane, and people are screaming at each other, and you got to stop, and you got to look at it just to see if somebody's going to be throwing some haymakers, and it doesn't happen. And last night I felt like I was rubbernecking, waiting for him to just basically fail.
Oh, yeah. It was like watching a horror movie where you know what was going to happen. You're like, okay, here's the bad guy, here's the monster, and they're going to kill this person. You knew what was going to happen, but this was a good horror movie in the sense for Mets fans. And if I'm a Rangers fan, too, I'm like, you can't throw that guy back out there. Come on. We were rolling, absolutely rolling until he took the mound. So I hope he gets another start because that'll be more free money for all of us that knew it was going to go the way that it did last night. And it feels good, man, to be. I got to tell you, last night was one of the first times in a long time I felt like really good about something in sports.
I knew it. I could just see it. I could see it in you this morning. I just felt. I don't know what it was. I when I got here, I was like, G's going to be in a good mood this morning. I just have a feeling. There's not going to be any negativity today. I just feel like, and you know what? That money has a very funny impact on people.
Oh, it does. It certainly does. It lifts you up and it tears you down. But today is a lift-up day. And thanks to Max Scherzer and other people that jumped aboard that were tweeting me last night that saw the same thing. And the guy, whatever his name was, on Twitter that suggested the first 5 bet as opposed to just the Houston Astros.
How about the first 5 bet?
Oh, it's great. It was awesome.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
so can I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you share how much you made?
Just a couple $100, a few $100. Okay. That's all. Right. Nothing crazy. I mean, listen, I know your former partner was dealing in big numbers.
Yeah,
I don't do that. Just it's a responsible gaming situation. Just a few $100.
No, I know. I was just saying. You were so confident leaving here yesterday. You made sure before you said goodbye. Watch Max fail tonight. I was like, you are unbelievable.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was great. And then I always have people text me, "Are you ready?" Everybody's settling in, getting fired up to watch this guy melt down. But even if I hadn't made money, I would have enjoyed it. It was just like the extra cherry on top of it all. And it's been so rough. Like this was the best I'd felt about the Mets since they. I mean, Jesus, I don't even know because the end of the season with the Braves and they ended up losing the division. I guess it's the best I felt about the Mets since probably August of last year. And they had nothing to do with last night.
Exactly.
Like the fact that he's not on the team, you don't have to pay him again. He's out of here and he stunk somewhere else. Was like the first positive Mets baseball feeling that I have had in over a year.
Well, I was just glad to be a part of it in some way, shape, or form, knowing that you were going to be like this today. I mean, it was great. Now, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please do.
Now, I know the date. I don't know if you know the date, but I do know the date.
Okay.
You know the date that the NBA opens?
The date that the NBA opens.
I feel like the NBA's been practicing for like 3 months already.
I'm going to say that it's next week.
It is next week. It's next Tuesday, the 24th.
Okay. Right. All right. The 24th. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's preseason games galore. I don't pay attention to the preseason games. It's it's essentially like regular season games now. These preseason games, you feel like they don't matter. And then you got this silly ass in-season tournament coming up to see if that makes any sort of impact on the viewership and the compete level during the regular season.
Well, they're stealing an idea from soccer, European soccer. So we'll see. It seems to work over there, but people have been used to that for years and years and years. This is like a new test that they're doing this year and trying to make these games more important for whatever reason.
Yeah, this would be the thing, though. I know that we don't believe the Knicks can win an actual championship, but this would be the type of thing the Knicks would win, the meaningless tournament. Just have that trophy. Meaningless in-season tournament would be the thing the Knicks would win.
I would say, 5 years ago, I would have that same take.
Yeah.
I have to say the restraint, the patience, the smart signings in the last year, I think make me feel a little bit different about the way the Knicks are being handled, and I do appreciate it. I do appreciate developing young players. I do appreciate adding parts that when they are available, you're able to go and get them and not lose that much of a part of what you have in your kitty, if you will. They do have assets, so I kind of like the way the Knicks are being run right now. They just don't have a chance for a championship just simply because they can't get one of those top, or they don't really have a top 10 guy. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, here's the other problem, too. Like, let's just rewind to the end of the season and what we were saying. And what we were saying was Julius Randle can't be on this team next year. If they really want to be taken seriously, you've got to move on from him because he is not a winning player. And that patience that they have shown also has turned into stubbornness when it comes to that player. And I know the Julius Randle defenders are going to talk about all NBA this and all-star that and double-double machine this. We all know the deal with him. He puts up good numbers, and he's got a temper that crushes him in big situations, and in the playoffs, he disappears.
Well, let's hope he's learned. Every year we kind of think he's learned a little bit more. He's got a little bit more mature and understands his role. And, as long as he doesn't slow things down and gets the ball and dribbles it for 10 seconds.
But he is.
He's
not going to turn into that player that you want him to be in one offseason.
He is what he is. He is a top 20 player in the NBA. He's their best player or their best big man, I should say. And he's going to be here. And when he's on, he's on. And when he's off, he goes off and goes off somewhere, I don't know, like into some mental vortex somewhere that, he ends up losing it for about, a week or two and 10 days.
Yeah, and it's cost the team in big moments, and it makes you wonder about the teammates. I mean, the fact that he has gotten in the face of Emmanuel quickly, and there was an Evan Fournier slapping of the hand last year and all this stuff. I mean, it feels Yankee-esque in the sense of when they hang on to players too long and will yell and scream about them and say, how could you bring Josh Donaldson back for another year? How could you bring Aaron Hicks back for another year? How could you bring?
No, you can't compare him to those guys. He at least he produces. It's just the way he produces, but he does produce.
He does, but he's also in that same conversation of he can't come back next year. And that's really the point. Like, regardless of the production, every year we say the same thing.
Yeah, I know.
And then we forget about it in the offseason. But every year at the end of the year, we say the same thing. This guy can't be on the team next year. And then he is. And then he does the same stuff, and then we get annoyed, and we say he can't be on the team next year, and there he is again. So this has just been a repeat pattern. I mean, he was miserable in the playoffs against the Atlanta Hawks. He was not very good in the postseason this last year. It was all Jalen Brunson. He was obviously hurt, and he was dealing with an injury, and he had missed some time, too. But I remember we were sitting here talking about how much better they looked when he was hurt.
But I got to tell you, he's led the team to the playoffs 2 years in a row. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, that is production. That is success. It's just not the level of success that any team would want to have. They want more success. And the question is, can they go any further than they've gone with him? That's the question.
Yeah, and the answer is probably no in the Eastern Conference now, especially when you look at how much stronger they are. We know Miami's going to be a pain in the ass. Obviously, Milwaukee got better with the Lillard trade. You know that the Boston Celtics, even though the Knicks seem to match up well with them, are going to be a pain in the ass. It's just, I mean, it's tough, man. It is tough. Now, they are one great player away from being in that conversation. I just don't know where it's going to come from. Maybe it's actually Donovan Mitchell again, because that has been something where he's not happy there. It didn't really work out last year. The team that he was supposed to be on ended up beating them and him last year in the playoffs when the Knicks beat the Cavs. Maybe it's him again. I don't know. But that's the excitement of the Knicks has a ceiling, unfortunately. And I know that they're going to be pretty good, and I know they're going to give us some moments and make the playoffs, but they're just going to run into one of those teams and lose again. So I don't want to, but we're going to have fun watching them, and Jalen Brunson is great, and we're going to like this team. They're just one player away. One player away.
Well, I mean, in order to acquire that one player, then they would end up having to give up some of their assets and maybe some of their active players right now. And who are those players? And does that player, if he does come here, does he mesh with a Julius Randle? That's why it's got to be like a two guard. It's the only way I think it can work. I don't necessarily know. I know it's positionless and all this other stuff, but I think you got to have somebody else that can run with Jalen Brunson. That's better than what we have running with him now.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, the dream scenario is that Kyrie Irving just tears down that Mavericks organization so much that Luka Doncic says he wants out and he wants to play in New York. And wants to be back with Jalen Brunson. That is the only dream scenario, because everything else to me feels like it's not enough. Like Karl Anthony Towns. What do you think about him? I mean, he's probably going to come here and get hurt and bitch and moan and be the wrong guy. And obviously the Kentucky situation and the connections there and the Knicks and everybody Kentucky, I could see that ended up working out as far as a trade happens. But then when he's here, is he going to be the missing piece? You look at him as a championship player. Is he the Mark Messier to the Knicks?
No.
So I mean, it's a long season. I like this team, but they need to make a trade. They got to get somebody else in there, man.
Yeah, well,
got to get somebody else in here.
You kind of feel like it's a little bit too late for the 2024-2025 season.
Well,
I mean, 23-24.
Yeah, 23-24. Yeah. I was like, holy hell.
25.
How long did I sleep?
Yeah, wow. Yeah. No, but yeah, I don't. 4th place, 5th place,
4 seed. That'd be great if they were a 4 seed. They were a 4 seed when they lost to the Hawks that year. So 4 seed be awesome.
Teams have gotten better though.
They have, and maybe they are too. And maybe you look at the Knicks as taking another step forward this year. Maybe they surprise the hell out of us. Maybe they end up having this unbelievable regular season and turn into a juggernaut. It's possible.
I just feel like it's been like they should have already tipped off already. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the seasons are so
dragging on, man.
But it's not. It really isn't because the NBA
NHL
finals,
started.
the NBA. Yeah, I know, but the NBA finals end in June. I mean, they end in the middle of June now. So that it's not that long of an off season. It really is not. I mean, June doesn't feel like that long ago to me, and they're right back at it. All right, it is Boomer and Gio on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.